Music is not generally a high-paying field. We all know this. Sure, there's rich rock and pop stars out there, but that's not you and I. If you're like most professional musicians, you're probably doing some version of the typical music hustle. In other words, teaching and gigging, and the various things that can mean. Now, there's no easy magic hack for breaking into the high-income brackets of the professional music world. But what if I told you that there was one tangible and specific thing that you could do now to go from level 1 of the music hustle, teaching and gigging and just scraping by, to at least level 2, where you're doing all the same things but for more money. You're getting a better rate for your lessons, and you're getting paid more for gigs. Well, there is. You have to negotiate for better pay.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. And so you can't be afraid to ask for more money. And you have to get good at asking for more money. Don't just accept whatever amount of money people offer you. If somebody asks your band to play a bar gig for $100 a person, you gotta say, hey, we need at least $300 a person. If somebody says, hey, do you want to teach my kid? I'll give you $20 an hour. You gotta say, my rate is $60 an hour, or whatever it is. If somebody says, hey, do you want to write the music to my short film for $500? You gotta say, that's a big job. In order to really give it the time and effort it requires, it'll need to be closer to like $3,000. If you can't build this into how you approach business dealings, you're always going to be just scraping by. And if you're too agreeable or conflict avoidant to advocate for your worth, you really should learn to tolerate a little bit of tension so that you're not getting taken advantage of. Because you will become bitter and resentful and burnt out if you're doing too much work for not enough pay. And asking for more is not just about you, it's larger than that. We are all nodes in an interconnected labor economy. Low-paying gigs exist because people take them. And when you take low-paying gigs, you validate that the gig is worth that much. And there's a ripple effect on the whole rest of the labor economy.
We are all connected.
So here's how to negotiate for more money. Number 1, talk to the other workers in your job or in your field about money. The stigma against talking about money needs to go. You need to know how the other people in your field or in your organization handle money so that you're not making less of it just because of something you didn't know. In one of the bands that I'm in, I learned after 2 years that people were adding a travel charge to their invoice for having to drive to rehearsal. And so I started doing that too after a while. But man, did I miss out on a lot of money over the years because I didn't know that, and a bunch of other little things like that. Not everybody's going to feel comfortable sharing how much they get paid, but if you have 1 or 2 people who you can talk about it with candidly, it's a really good thing. The more information you have about how much other people are getting paid, the more you know what you can realistically push for.
Knowledge is power.
Number 2, figure out carefully what to ask for. In one of the bands that I play for, we had this tour coming up, and I wanted to get paid more. Everybody in the band kind of had their little individual deals that they worked out. Some people had weekly rates, some people had just a day rate, and some people had a day rate and a show rate. Everybody handled it differently, and I wasn't sure exactly what I should push for that would result in me getting as much money as possible by the end of the tour. So I had this whole spreadsheet where I laid out every day of the tour, the show days, the travel days, the off days, and I was able to easily plug in different scenarios and compare them against each other very specifically. So after running the numbers, it turned out that the worst situation would be to get a weekly rate, and by far the best situation, and also the easiest to push for, would be an increase to my regular day rate. And armed with that knowledge, that's what I pushed for, and got. And now I make a lot more money in that band than I used to, and a lot more money than people who don't ask for more money.
Do your research.
Number 3, shoot your shot. I did a few gigs with this cover band years ago, and there was this one show that was really far away. One of these drive a few states away, play a random venue show, get home way late at night kinds of gigs. When the band leader first hit me up about it, he was like, hey, can you do this gig in Connecticut for $350? And I was like, well, that's a really long way to drive, and I'm driving myself. How about $500? And he agreed to it. And when we got to the venue, the other keyboard player was like, man, this was a long way to drive for $350. And I was like, I'm getting $500. And he was like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, this is too far to drive for $350. Why did you agree to that? Same band, same amount of work, same amount of travel. I got more because I asked for more.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Number 4, be direct and clear in your ask. There's a lot of videos out there about how to negotiate, how to ask for a raise, and things like that. I don't really believe that there's some magic way to present it that will greatly increase the chances of the desired outcome. Just be direct, be respectful, say what's true, and shoot your shot. Hey there, just want to let you know that at the beginning of the new year, I'll be raising my teaching rate to $75 an hour. It's always a joy to teach your kids, and I'm looking forward to continuing. Hello, I'd like to talk about having an overtime day rate. Yesterday's rehearsal was very long. In cases where we exceed a standard 8-hour workday, I think it's reasonable to be paid a little more. I really appreciate the offer from my band to play your event. Unfortunately, as a 6-person band, $600 is low for us. We generally get around $2,000 for events of this kind in this area. Is that doable? You don't need flowery language, you don't need some long-winded justification, just be direct and clear. At the end of the day, the only real factors are whether the other party feels that they can pay you more, whether they feel that you provide enough value for them to want to, and your own willingness to walk away, which at the end of the day is your only real leverage.
You've got no leverage.
Number 5. Ask at a time when you're most confident in your value. Have you been putting in extra time, picking up extra responsibilities beyond what you initially agreed to, or in some other way going above and beyond? That's the time to ask. Number 6, come across as grateful, not resentful. Hey, I really love what we're doing here with this recording project, and I'm excited to continue. I'm happy to pick up these extra little tasks here and there, like arranging the horn parts, but I do need to get paid for that since it's outside of what we agreed to initially. If you make it a regular practice to build these things into your business dealings, you will get paid more than people who just accept whatever's offered.
And that's a fact.
Now, maybe you're afraid that in raising your rates, you're going to price people out or scare them off, and that will happen sometimes, but the truth is that the people who want to pay the least are not the people who you want to work for anyway. And it's not just because they pay the least. Years ago, my band accepted a $200 offer to drive 3 hours away with all of our equipment, drum set and PA included, and play a show, and we got stiffed at the end of the night. Years ago, I designed a band's logo for $50, and they were the most demanding and annoying clients I ever had. Years ago, the students of mine that paid the least were the ones that I had to chase down for weeks and months to finally get paid. Legit clients that pay legit amounts of money do not act like this. Legit clients want to hire somebody that's great at what they do, and they want to pay them what's required for them to do a great job. And they want them to be happy with what they're getting paid so that they can keep hiring them to do great work over the long term. When you raise your rates, you get more work from better clients who pay more and are better to deal with.
You deserve that.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you should be aggressively negotiating all the time. And I'm not saying that you should always walk away from low-paying gigs. If you're young and you're in your first few years trying to break into the scene, you should mostly just say yes to things to gain experience and connections. Or if you're trying to break into some new part of the industry. Like, for example, I would love to score video games, but I've never scored a video game and I don't know anybody in that world. So if I had an opportunity like that, I'd probably just say yes to get my foot in the door with that world. But working really hard for not enough money does not work as a long-term strategy. Eventually, you're going to get burnt out and resentful. And in my experience, if you're resentful, it is a you problem. If your head is full of thoughts about how you're being taken advantage of, or how you're being undervalued and how you're not getting what you deserve, guess what? It is on you to not allow yourself to be taken advantage of. It is on you to speak up for what you think you deserve. Of course, people are trying to extract the most amount of labor from you for the least amount of pay. You have to set boundaries. And here's a little secret from the other side of the equation, because I also own a business and employ people. Good clients are happy to pay you well to do a good job. It is really hard to find people who can do a complicated, necessary job well, on time, and in the way that you asked. These people are worth their weight in gold, and a smart business owner will do just about anything to keep them around. A smart business owner doesn't want to pay half as much for somebody with half as much experience, knowledge, and equipment, because that person is going to require more oversight, you're going to have to clean up their messes, and ultimately, it's going to make your life harder. And the whole reason you ever hire anybody to do anything is to make your life easier. So be that person who's great at what you do and is reliable, and then demand your worth. Remember, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate.